And I'm a deputy county attorney.
Jackie Gonzalez, county clerk.
Kayla White, deputy county clerk.
That wraps it up for us, Mayor Weaver.
Okay, thank you. I note that we've got city council members here too, and I don't mind if we go through some introductions there. I just don't know if everybody knows everybody on the call. So Paul Weaver, member of the city council, currently serving as mayor.
Shall I go next? I'm Andrea Lamb. I'm the clerk in Rock River, and council member Lena Clark is with me as well.
Good evening. Good evening.
Thank you. Thank you both very much, and thank you for being here. Yes, this is what I wanted to do. Some of us that don't interact as much, I think it's nice to get a little introduction. I think I saw Councilor Cumby raise her hand probably to introduce herself. And yeah.
Good evening, Sharon Cumby, Laramie City Council.
Fred Schmeckel, Laramie City Council.
Brian Harrington, Laramie City Council. This is Ruby. She joins most of the time.
Brian Schuster, Laramie City Council.
Erin O'Doherty, Laramie City Council.
Jane Pierce, Laramie City Council.
I'd also note that we've got Councilmember Pat Gabriel on the call. I'm not sure if he can get on right now. And we have members of our city staff who will introduce themselves probably at different points during the discussion. Not that any of us don't deserve a full introduction.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Gabriel. All of us merit an introduction, but I think some of us will probably be able to do that as we go on into the meeting. And I appreciate you taking just a minute to do that because not everybody interacts with everybody as often as we might like.
Could I interject really quickly?
Please.
The name Tamara White that you see is Councilmember Scott White, and his microphone's not working. So he'll text me if he wants to, make a comment, and I'll throw it out at you guys.
See, this is exactly why I wanted to just pause, give us all a couple of minutes to say hello and figure things like that out. Councilmember O'Doherty, did you raise a hand?
I just wanted to make sure that Councilor Scott knows the trick of using the phone for your audio, because it's pretty handy. Down by the microphone icon, the arrow up, you can switch to your phone.
Little tech support there. And you know what? When your audio's on, just say hello when you join us. We won't single you out. We're all used to it with the Zoom calls, so no worries. Everything's fine. If I skipped anybody who wanted to take, yes, I've got screen name CJ. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is CJ Leslie, Mayor of Rock River. I just want to make sure you knew I was here.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And I did want to know that you were here, and thank you for taking time to be here and joining us in this discussion. I think as many people as we can get on here to talk about this important topic is the number that we need. That's what we need to do. All right, anybody else that I didn't catch that wanted to just give a quick hello to everybody? I really appreciate it because I'll be honest. I do not know you town council members from Rock River well at all, and so I'm pleased to meet you and hear from you here at this meeting. Well, if nobody else has anything else to get us started, and again, I appreciate everybody's patience with that. I just think it's important. So this work session is about the renewal of the fifth penny, as we call it. And we always start our work sessions, guest, with a quick check-in to see if there's any public comment on any topic that we won't be covering for the work session this evening, and often there is not, but we check anyway. Is there public comment that does not deal with our work session topic? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public comment period and get us into the main body of the work for the work session tonight. So, as I said, we're talking about the fifth penny tax. I have no idea who'd like to lead this off. I don't know that anybody needs to be the official lead-off person. I think we know why we're here. I think I'm going to risk a guess that we all understand the importance of the fifth penny and what it means to the services across the community. Would anybody like to go next?
Evening, Mayor Weaver. This is Commissioner Gosar. I guess just a little bit of background for my research, and maybe Jackie and Kayla and whoever else would like to join in. It seems like the fifth penny has been renewed since 1986, every 4 years. It takes cooperation between the City of Laramie, City of Rock River, and Alameda County to get it put on the ballot. There is the opportunity that is presented to us since it's been approved so many times. We can approve it by resolution and not put it on the ballot. And so if there are any other ideas on things that we may or may not do with the fifth penny, as you guys well know, it's important to our work, important to your work, and I suspect very same would be true for Rock River. And so that's a way of a lead off to that. The one thing that I would ask County Clerk Jackie Gonzalez is on our resolution of 2018, on the section 2 on the back, if this language was on the ballot, it says, if passed, the tax would be in place for a 4-year term and resubmitted to voters at the next general election. So, yeah, I don't know what that means, but we still have all the options available, but that is part of what was on the ballot, just to make sure everybody understands what was actually on the ballot. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Grosser. That does generate a question for me, and I think I'd like it to direct it to the Deputy County Attorney there, which is that if the voters approve that ballot language, did they then approve for that to automatically go back on to the next ballot as it said in the ballot language, or is there some question there?
I think that might be a Jackie question.
Yes, certainly, County Clerk.
Mr. Weaver, pardon me, Mayor Weaver.
No worries there.
I was just going to pull up the ballot to see if that is the exact language. I'm assuming it is. The language was, the language is not that way on the ballot. And so I think only solely by resolution. And I believe at that time, the language was suggested by legal counsel at that time.
Would you like me to read it?
Would you?
Please.
Kayla has the ballot language, Mayor Weaver, so we'll just have her read it for us.
It says, shall the Board of County Commissioners of the County of Albany, State of Wyoming be authorized to impose a general purpose excise tax of 1% upon retail sales of tangible personal property, admissions, and services made within the county for general revenue purposes, for or against the taxed?
Okay.
So that's
okay. Well, I think it was worth covering all that so that we knew. Mayor Leslie, up there in Rock River, what do you have? What would you like to add to this?
Well, I'm good with the text on the ballot the way it has been. We've gone through this a few times, and yeah, we definitely need it. So I'm good with where it's at.
Thank you. Any other Laramie council members for a comment right now as we let this conversation take shape? I think there's kind of a general understanding of the importance of it. Yes, Councilmember Schuster.
Yes, being through 5 of these now, it is a very important tax, and the biggest thing we always need to communicate with the general population is that this is not an increase in tax, that this is just an ongoing tax. And without it, it would make an extreme hardship and probably have to let some people go if it ever did not pass. So 10 years ago, when this was going to be renewed, I asked at that time, can we just pass it to keep it? It's always been renewed by a great amount, a percentage, and I really feel that we just need to put it in place. So I know that's one of our options tonight, is that we can talk about that, or we can put it back on the ballot and do it again in 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Schuster. Other comments from any of the Rock River Town Council folks?
So yeah, this is CJ Leslie again.
Yeah.
I'm confused. Are you saying we don't have to put it on the ballot if we don't want to?
Thank you for the question. What I'd like to do is have the county officials explain that process a little bit for all of us, and how that would work. And I don't know who over there would like to do that, but you have the floor, because I don't want to try to explain it and then say something incorrect.
Sure, Mayor Weaver, County Attorney Jennifer Curran will take the legal part, and then maybe we'll kick it over to the clerk's office for the pragmatic, practical part of it all.
So under Wyoming statute 3915-203, little a, little I, capital F, it says in lieu of the requirements of placing it on the ballot for submission at subsequent elections, the tax that's authorized, which is the 1% that we're talking about, may be continued by an election or by resolution as provided in this subparagraph. And it requires that it has to initially be approved by the electorate. It has to be favorably supported by a resolution of the adopted governing bodies, and it has to conform with ordinances that are also listed in the statute. So I don't see anything that would prohibit us, because it has already been approved by the electorate, from continuing it via resolution.
In terms of statutory compliance.
Correct.
All right. Thank you. Mayor, does that answer the first? Well, let's see if the county clerk has anything else to add to that.
I do not.
All right. It would simply go before the town council, the city council, and the county commissioners as a resolution. Is the way I'm understanding it now. So,
correct.
All right, thank you, and I appreciate that. So, Mayor, does that help you with your question?
Yes, it does, because we have passed it as a resolution before. So I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
All right. Just waiting to see if there's other comment. Yes, Councilmember O'Doherty.
If it goes on the ballot, that would be on the primary ballot on August 16th. And it's just a simple thing, not like the 6 penny where we had to say all of the different things that would be used for. It would just be a simple, can the county commissioners do this? Am I hearing that right?
It wouldn't be on the ballot at all, Councilmember O'Doherty, if we passed it via resolution. Now, if it went on the ballot, then I think, yes, it's just the simple renewal language. Vice Mayor Pierce.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I think the two choices we have before us are either as the 3 governing bodies in Albany County, we either make a decision to all of us approve by resolution that this is a continued thing and it just becomes automatic, or we vote, or we decide tonight, not vote, but we decide tonight that it goes on the ballot. And I believe it would be the regular election in November, not the primary, but I could have that wrong. Jackie might know, but I think it's during the regular general election in November. And those are our two choices. Either we all decide we just approve by resolution and it becomes automatic, or we put it on the ballot, one or the other.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Yeah, go right ahead.
The county clerk is saying that Councilor Pierce is right. It would go on the November ballot.
Not the primary ballot, but the November ballot.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Councilmember Harrington.
Thanks, Mayor. I was curious if the county attorney happened to know if we, or the county clerk, I suppose, but if we adopt this by resolution of the governing bodies, can it also be repealed at any time by resolution of the governing bodies? That would be a curiosity I might have.
Can be.
Did you hear that, Councilor Harrington?
I did, yeah. So that might inform my decision a little bit. It would fall out of the 4-year renewal cycle. Basically, if it were to be repealed by resolution, it could just be repealed at any point.
I believe it has to be in that same election cycle.
Okay.
Because, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Schuster, sorry I missed you earlier.
Thank you very much. Now, if I remember correct, this takes 3/4 vote by all the governing bodies. So if one governing body decides against it, it's not a 2-3 or 2-1 thing. It has to be, since it's 75% or 3/4 vote, all 3 governing bodies would have to agree on everything. I wanted to make sure of that.
Thank you, Councilmember Schuster. Is that correct, county officials? I think that sounds right to me, but.
We're researching right now, Mayor Weaver and Councilor Schuster.
I believe it's the concurrence of the governing bodies of 50% of the municipalities. Which, since we only have 2, requires both of them to agree.
So then a follow-up question then would be, if, just like Councilor Harrington said, if somebody's not happy with it, then only 50% of the governing bodies would have to be used to repeal it too.
Well, I guess.
I believe that's true. A second.
Yeah.
We're researching that.
Go ahead and chime in. The Vice Mayor, I think, was making an effort to try to get us to focus up on these as she put it, the two options. And yes, Councilmember O'Doherty.
I have a question. If it's on the ballot, it's not like an amendment to the Constitution, right? It just needs 51% of the people that voted on that question. Is that how that works?
Correct.
So the non-voters do not count as a no, because, okay.
That's correct. I've seen a lot of nods.
All right. Any other kind of clarifying questions? Well, then I think it would be a good time to sort of get into the general discussion of which way we want to go. So we've kind of identified the options and how those work either on the ballot or not. And I suppose one of the things we need to do at this work session is make that choice, although we won't be voting on anything officially. Rock River folks, I'm gonna keep picking on you if I don't see your little hand icon come up or I don't hear any voices. Are there any questions about the two options at this point?
No, I don't believe we have any questions. I think it would be best, in Rock River's view, to just do it as a resolution. But that's just Rock River's view. Thank you.
No, that's fine. That's fine. If we're feeling comfortable getting into the part of the discussion where we sort of share how we feel about it, I think it's good. So let's keep going. Council, anybody on Laramie City Council that has a view about this ballot versus resolution? Councilmember O'Doherty.
So I count 10 elections in a row that it's passed. So it does feel like our collective constituents are in favor. So I don't know, how big a lift is it to put it on the ballot? How hard is that? Because I've never done the work for getting people to vote for the fifth penny. So I guess I'd like to hear from the seasoned professionals how big a lift that was in their communities or overall.
I note that the city manager has turned her camera on, which is sometimes her way of letting me know that she might have something to add to the discussion. City Manager Jordan.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to address that on behalf of city staff. Through you, Mayor, and to Councilor O'Doherty, and welcome everyone. It's nice to see all your faces. Well, some faces, I guess. When we are in a renewal year for either the fifth penny or the sixth penny tax, my office is usually the point lead for the city in preparing the materials for the public to review in order to be ready to go to the ballot in November. I would estimate this would be, if we go through this exercise this year, this will be my, I think, fourth time, maybe fifth time at renewing this tax. So I do have a lot of experience here. But my office will collate together all of the information that the city has with respect to how we use that tax, not only in the past how it was used, but how we intend to use it into the future. We also often reach out and work with Rock River's staff and council, and also with the county to pull their information into maybe a single document, which seems to be the preference of voters, that really shows how all three of our entities use this tax. The work in my office, and I can't speak to the work that occurs in Rock River or at the county, but I would estimate the hours of work in my office that go into just preparing those materials is probably on par of 50 to 60 hours at least, across myself, the assistant city manager, finance staff, the executive assistant, sometimes the city clerk's office, and members of our public relations committee. Once we've prepared those materials, that usually occurs in the spring, we will spend the summer sending out letters to local agencies. We usually distribute letters to all of our, say, fee-for-service partners, social service agencies, nonprofits, usually on par of, I'd say, around 100 letters to agencies asking if they would like us to send a speaker to speak with them or with their boards or at, say, Rotary or Optimist Club meetings to help inform their membership about the tax. After that goes out, then we field those requests. Myself, members of council, the assistant city manager, we then go out and speak to those groups as requested. I would estimate the amount of time that goes into what I call our Speakers Bureau offering is easily over the course of 4 or 5 months in the realm of 50 hours combined. And then the last thing I'll add, and I know this is a lot, but I'm trying to remember back. Typically, there is a political action committee that has formed to support the tax, and while they're completely separate from the city and any governmental entity, they often seek information from us routinely, beginning in May through the election in November. And so it's harder to estimate what amount of time we commit to providing them the information they need to feel confident advocating for the tax in the community, but I'd say that can range anywhere from probably 20 to 100 hours, depending on the issue, or if it's a particularly difficult tax, suspicion that it will be difficult. So I don't know if anyone tallied that up as I went through it, but that's sort of my best guess of the amount of time that staff would inherit the city. And like I said, Rock River and the county folks will have to talk to the preparation of their materials that we then try to collate into a single document.
Thank you, City Manager. I'm going to go to Andrea and Rick, who have had their hand up for a few minutes here, and then I'll go to the Vice Mayor.
I just wanted to let you guys know that Scott White is in favor of a resolution. And I believe Lena has a question here with me as well.
Lena Clark, Rock River Town Council. My question is, folks, what's the time frame of renewal? Does it start in April? Does it start today with the resolution?
Not today.
Okay. So then can we do our agreement on a resolution enlarged tonight, or do we have to go to our 3 groups for resolution?
My understanding is that it'd have to be official meetings where we each passed separate resolutions in favor.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, now it might all be the same resolution language that, comes before each of the 3 bodies, but county officials, does anybody have any differing information regarding that? I think that's right.
Yeah, we would support that, Mayor Weaver, that would have to come before all 3 bodies in a publicly notified meeting.
Yeah. All right. Vice Mayor, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Weaver. My question is for our city manager. Is that PAC still active?
Through you, Mayor, Vice Mayor Pierce, maybe a little more specificity. I'm not sure I understand your question.
Is the PAC that has helped us in the past, are they still an active PAC? Do we know that?
Oh, okay.
For some reason,
I'm sorry, I misheard you. I thought you asked about the tax, not the PAC. So that helps. I'm not aware if they have activated yet for renewing the tax this year. I haven't heard from them yet, so I don't know.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor, I think that's a question that we could possibly get a little bit of help from the county clerk from. That would just be a local committee for the 5th penny. And it would just be a matter of filing the paperwork with the county clerk's office to be active as a local political action committee. Again, is that correct?
You are correct, Mayor Weaver, and no PAC has been filed as of today.
Thank you. And that wouldn't be required to be filed with the Secretary of State's office beyond the county. That would be as far as the PAC would need to go to in terms of getting organized.
You're
right?
correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Appreciate it. Was there a hand up? Yes, Councilmember Schuster.
Thank you. Sorry I'm speaking so much tonight. Mine is also with the city manager too, because I know we put a lot of time and effort, and I just kind of like to have an estimate on when we have to, and I'm going to use the word campaign for this tax, approximately how much money and employee time are we putting forward to advertise and get our people to go out and speak at our different meetings. Thank you.
Through you, Mayor, Councilor Schuster, I think that's a really great question, and I wish I had an answer for you. I'd have to run some numbers, and I probably wouldn't be able to do that tonight. But I guess what I would say is because the public education that we do surrounding the tax really comes out of the city manager's office and is done largely by my staff, department heads, I guess what I'm getting at is it's among our higher paid staff members who put in this work and can speak authoritatively to how we use these funds. So I think it would be a significant outlay, but I can't give you a number tonight. I'm sorry.
Okay, Councilmember Schuster. All right.
Yes, I'm fine with that answer. I kind of shot it off the cuff, so she had to give me the answer she did.
No, that's fine. And don't worry about speaking up. That's why we're here. Councilmember Schmeckel.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just curious if we have any idea what the margin has been over the past 10 or 11 elections where it's been approved. Is it a significant margin every single time? Has this ever been close?
The last one was 60-some%.
Mayor Weaver, Jackie Gonzalez has some numbers for us, I believe.
Great.
Mayor Weaver, in 2014, 7,234 electors voted for the tax. 2,983 voted against. There were 3 overvotes, 217 undervotes, for a total of 10,437 votes cast. In 2018, 9,282 electors voted in favor, 4,624 voted against. There were 8 overvotes and 601 undervotes for a total of 14,515 votes cast.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Schmeckel.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Other comments? Oh, it's echoey. All right. Well, I'll be the one to argue a little bit from the other side, I suppose. With that being said, I do intend to go along with the will of the group, or so to speak. I'm not sure if past election results, to me, that doesn't necessarily make me feel any better about interpreting that those outcomes as license to just go ahead and memorialize this through resolution. I just don't interpret it that way, and I can't help shake the feeling that there'll be some heartburn with the notion that because it's passed before, we should just go ahead and nobody will have any trouble with it. I think part of the willingness to approve it over the years has been the willingness of the governing bodies to go back and say, here's where this money goes, here's why it's important, and will you please again renew this tax to continue these services? To me, it goes in a different direction, and I just can't help but to tell the truth. It doesn't sit well with me. But if the overwhelming consensus of all the local governments here is that we should just go ahead and do this through resolution, then I'll certainly support the resolution. I'm not comfortable with it, and I've done my best to tell you why. I just don't think you can interpret past results and say, well, that gives us a good sense. I think each election is different. I'd also note that those are off-year elections the last few years that we talked about, and so I have a little bit of reluctance to just sign off on this and say, I think this is great, let's do it. I think there's some real value in getting the approval of the voters every time when we go to ask them for this important revenue. I don't know if anybody else has any more thoughts they'd like to add, but I do feel a responsibility to share that other perspective. Everybody's going to be quiet now. Come on. We're supposed to, yeah. Okay. Y'all came at once. I'm going to go with Councilmember Harrington because he hasn't said much yet, and then I think I heard Commissioner Gosar. And then I'll go to the Vice Mayor and the Council member. Does that sound good, Councilmember Harrington?
Thanks, Mayor. I think I'm favorable to doing it by resolution, memorializing it that way. I am a little hesitant only because I think the swings on any of our governing bodies could dictate the future of a tax, and I think the consequence of that to any of our operations would be substantial. I think the voters could remove it in this election if they wanted. And no ground is unshaky, but I that's sort of where my decision is hinging. I think largely the voters have and will continue to support this. I'm not as wary of that part, but I do think that the sort of swings in our governing bodies could have some pretty dire consequences for the services that our residents receive. So I haven't come down one way or another yet, but I'm leaning towards memorializing by resolution just to say my piece and make it as clear as I can.
Thank you. Commissioner Gosar?
Yeah, I would just like to dovetail on Councilor Harrington's statement. And for me, I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other. I think that they would be just fine either way. They have always happened during off-year elections, right, or whatever, statewide elections. But I think, by and large, do we feel as the time and money and effort that goes to support this, is that education piece worth it for people to understand that about their government, or has that work been done? And so I think for me, that's what the decision comes down to.
Very good. Thank you. Councilmember Schmeckel, and I see a hand up from Commissioner Richardson. We'll get to him in the order. Thank you. Councilmember Schmeckel?
Thank you. I think you're going to go to the vice mayor before me.
Oh, Vice Mayor Pierce? Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. We can jump over to Commissioner Richardson if you want. I mean, he hasn't said anything yet, and I've spoken, so
all right,
that's fine with me.
All right. Thank you for extending the courtesy. Commissioner Richardson, you're up.
I apologize, you all. I had some technical difficulties tonight, and I can't make my camera work without restarting my app, so I just am going cameraless.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good. It is my opinion that as a gesture of respect and accountability of elected officials, it's good policy, and it would be my preferred approach to put it in front of the voters every time. And I know there's some cost associated with that, but it's each time the voters are asked to approve or not the fifth penny tax, it's basically a referendum on our budgeting processes and our spending decisions that we make with the money. And so it's a certain level of accountability that I don't mind at all, and I think that the voters expect that. They expect, it's a Wyoming sensibility to want to have a chance to think about it every time, even though it might be somewhat cumbersome. It is, after all, their money. and their policy, so that's where I'm at on it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Mayor Pierce.
Thank you. This is a tough situation because, I absolutely think Heber, Richardson, and our Mayor Weaver are right in their thought process in terms of putting it to the voters every single time. I agree with that, but I've got to tell you, since the 1980s, every 4 years, since the 1980s for 10 or 11 elections, and we are not going to be the first county in the state of Wyoming to if we decide to go forward by this via resolution, we're not the first county in the state to just make this permanent. So we would be joining other counties in doing this, and I think I believe it would be fine. I believe it would be okay, and I believe the voters are in support of this in Albany County and in other counties in the state. So it's not like we'd be standing alone here in Albany County as the only county to make it permanent. So I think that's something else to add to the conversation. But I certainly understand and get where the mayor and Commissioner Richardson are coming from. It makes perfect sense to me. It's not an easy decision. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilmember Schmeckel.
Thank you, and thank you for letting me speak a second time here. I will say that I concur with Commissioner Gosar and Commissioner Richardson that there are aspects of this that we need to consider that ultimately come down to trust. And while I think we've got a solid history on here and a solid path that the community wants this and that the community understands that not passing this would be incredibly detrimental to all of our communities, I think that we have to put trust in the voters, that they're going to continue to do this and that we can make a case to them that we are worthy. I think that right now, lots of people are questioning government, and I think that if we can show a little trust in them, that's going to be a big step in them showing trust in us.
Thank you, Councilmember Schmeckel.
Hey, Weaver, can we put the commission in the queue? We just don't have a hand.
Yeah. You're up.
Oh.
Okay, this is County Commissioner Sue Ibera. I just have something to add to the conversation, just food for thought. I don't have a strong preference one way or the other. However, as far as the conversation about costs to campaign, Jackie has said that the county has never had to spend funds to campaign for this, that the PAC has always raised the funds and paid for any campaign.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, I know we have a couple of people. Sorry about that echo. I don't know what to do about that. I know, Councilmember Gabriel, are you with us on the call? I know that you've participated in those PAC efforts before, so I'm eager to hear your input about this. But my understanding, of course, is that local government funding, the city and the county couldn't use funding for that, right? It would all have to be generated and spent through the Political Action Committee. Commissioner Richardson's got a hand up again, and then I saw another hand. So I'm going to go to you, Councilmember O'Doherty, because it's been a little bit since we've heard from you, and then I'll go to Commissioner Richardson.
I tallied up what the city manager estimated for the colors for her office, and it ranged from 120 to 200 and something. So it is money, but I also feel like the education part is important for people to know what government does. And so I hate to put that burden on our staff, but I'm willing to be the speakers bureau and stuff like that. I'm willing to do that work. But of course, I'm not as good about doing the financial education, but I feel like educating the public is really something we need more of. So I guess I'm leaning to put it on the ballot, but I would go along with whatever the consensus is. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember O'Doherty. You know, and I hear that emerging from some of the speakers here. I do think there is a tremendous amount of value in getting that information out to people. You know, I think there is that lack of understanding. I don't even like to put it that way. There's just not always that many occasions to get people to think about how the local government resources are used and into what services they go. And I do think that is tremendously valuable. And I think when you have the opportunity for people to play a role in that decision and to learn about those things, it really creates a strong a strong sense of community investment. And I think it gives us, as the elected officials, a stronger sense of authority about using those dollars. Commissioner Richardson, I haven't heard from Councilmember Cumby, so I'm trying to give people a crack at it if they haven't talked yet. So if you'll just bear with us, I'm going to go to Councilmember Cumby and then to you. Councilmember Cumby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When we started this discussion, I was more inclined to go toward the resolution outcome. But as we've continued the discussion, and upon Councilor Schmeckel's comment about the current state of trust that the public has toward government right now, I think at this point it could backfire upon us, and that we can't assume agreement from the community at this point in time, and that it might come across wrong. So I could go either way, but at this point in time, I'm inclined to have this as a ballot initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And of course, I know the Vice Mayor will appreciate this comment. You have to pick a path. We can't just say, well, we'll go either way. And maybe and if everybody's going to follow my lead and say, oh, I'll go with the consensus, that's not going to work either. We're going to have to get down to it. So if you're going to box me in, I'm going to say, I think it should be a ballot question for the reasons I've already stated. I'm not going to put him off again, even though we've got some hands up. I'm going to go to Commissioner Richardson, and then I'm going to go to Mayor Leslie. Commissioner Richardson, thanks for waiting. Mayor Leslie, thank you for waiting. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a theory, and this is one of these Heber theories, and I know you guys like that.
Okay, let's.
But I am not a middle of the roader. I actually think that the reason that the tax has gotten so much support in the past is because people have been given the choice. If you pass it by resolution, and the choice is taken away, well, maybe it's there. But it could have, we could wind up with less support and also maybe less accountability, right? I think part of the reason why it's as popular as it is because putting it up to a vote holds us accountable, and because people have the choice, they're more likely to support something that they choose. If you vote for somebody, you tend to like them more than if you vote for their opponent, right? And they don't win. So the point is, I want to go with the ballot question, and I probably will need to speak again. But thank you.
Just hang out. You never know.
Well, I won't go anywhere.
Mayor, thanks for waiting. It's over to you.
Yeah, this is CJ Leslie, the Mayor of Rock River again. I'm just kind of curious, and I agree on both sides. But this PAC to campaign for it, is that taxpayer money?
It cannot be, Mayor, is my understanding. It has to be donated from folks in the community that support the passage of the fifth penny.
Okay, thank you. That's what I needed. Thank you.
You bet. Anybody else there from Rock River Council that has a thought or two or three? Yeah, Council Member Bowers.
Yeah, so I've just been kind of listening in and learning because this is my first time doing this. But I've always been in favor of letting the voters decide on what they want instead of us forcing it on them. So I guess I'd be leaning towards putting it on the ballot. That's basically all I have, I guess.
Appreciate it, Council Member. No, thank you very much. Other Rock River folks? And the only reason I'm sometimes specifically going back to Rock River is because I can't see you raise a hand or anything. I just see the screen name. Yeah, that screen name for Andrea and Rick. Whoever's up, go for it.
Hi, this is Lena Clark again, Rock River.
Yes. Yes.
I am of the opinion that as a voter, I want the choice of where my dollars go. So I appreciate it on the ballot as the preferred option for me. But I don't think that it has to be just the city's job to inform the world. And I'm wondering, are there other avenues of the county and Rock River helping in that process? And are there maybe a different methods than what's been done in the past that sounds so time intensive and expensive? Could there be different ways to inform the public why we need their dollars? Thank you.
That's a great question. I'm going to answer it. Yes, there probably are. And this would be a good time to maybe brainstorm a little bit about what some of those might be. Who would like to speak next?
Mayor Weaver, this is Commissioner Gosar.
Yep.
Well, I guess this begs that question. If it's going to be on the ballot, then I guess that each of us has an obligation to sign up and start speaking, right? And work with the PAC to do that work, because, I don't know that we should hand it off to some people and not be engaged with it. And I know that I will sign up to do my duty here on this if this is the way we go. But I think everybody should understand that this has to not put it on the ballot and let somebody else do it. I think we all have a vested interest in being part of that. Let's be part of selling this if that's what we're going to do.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with you. And there's a lot of ways to do that. There's the speaking circuit. There's the letters to the editor. There's a number of things that could happen. I have a little idea percolating, but I'm going to go to Councilmember O'Doherty.
So it's not real clear to me we can't advocate as council or what the rules are. I mean, I know that we can't spend council money, but there is the research. Our staff does research all the time about our budget. I assume that a lot of these numbers are, I know Malia usually just has every number on the top of her head, but if they can create the fact sheets for us, and then we can go out and spread the word, I think that would be helpful.
Thank you, Councilmember O'Doherty. Well, and this is the delicate question about where does advocacy for the approval of the tax begin, and information about how the tax is used, where does that end? But I think in the past we as a community have been able to navigate that pretty well. Other thoughts?
Mayor Weaver, Commissioner Ibarra.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put some food out for thought there. The PAC in the past has continually supported this and worked towards it. However, there were members on that PAC who were tiring of doing the work and all. So I think we need to be aware of that and not just assume that this PAC is going to step up again. And it may depend on city council members, as well as the council out at Rock River and county commissioners, to put a bug in people's ears of maybe needing to form a PAC, or maybe follow through on some calls with to the former PAC members and see if there's going to be that interest, because I don't think we should just assume that they're going to step up again.
I think that's right, Commissioner. I think that's right. There were some pretty dedicated people. You go back and look at those returns on those elections that the county clerk walked us through. That didn't just happen because, you know, people knew that we needed that tax. People worked to get that information out. In fact, I think one of the first videos on the city of Laramie's thing is there's a video about the power of a penny that was created back for one of those campaigns. Vice Mayor Pierce.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. We were just quickly, I was researching to try to find out how many of our Wyoming counties have permanently approved this tax. And according to the Oil City News, and they're quoting Representative Harshman, he said 21 of 23 counties have permanently approved the fifth penny.
Well, with the greatest respect for the former speaker, I would like verification of that figure because I do not believe it. And lacking a better source of information right now, that will remain my response.
Notice how I said it was in the Oil City News because I did all the disclaimers aloud.
The Vice Mayor is an honest debater. Councilmember Schuster.
Thank you. I think a lot of people need to know what our current sales tax is, because the first 3 pennies are collected by the state for use at the state. Do we get a portion of those back? Yes, we do. The 4th cent is collected by the state. They take out a percentage for managing that, and that comes back to us. The 5th cent is collected by the state. They charge us a fee, but it all 100% comes back. And then the 6th penny, again, we use that for a special projects tax. So we have already approved the 4th penny as one, and I don't know what year it was approved. I cannot tell you that. But we have already, some city council has done that. So I don't know how I would vote on this, but I want people to be informed on where every penny goes on the tax, on the 6 cents tax per dollar that we collect here in Albany County, because not every county is 6 cents on the dollar. Thank you.
Thank you. And Vice Mayor, I wanted to tell you, I was going to look at the State Department of Revenue to see if they might have a figure about counties that have the permanent penny. Councilmember Harrington.
Mayor, to a very similar point, I had just hopped on UW Extension real fast for the same thing. The 21 out of 23 counties figure is adoption of the 5th cent full stop, not adoption permanently of the 5th cent. So just to tie that all back together, that's what's going on there. I don't have the other figure, but I do know what the former speaker was talking about that the vice mayor found. So that obviously makes a whole lot more sense, right?
Makes more sense to me too. But let's not get too far away from our central question tonight, folks. We kind of need to get to a point here where we know if this is going on the ballot or if we're going to be looking at resolutions. We've kind of heard a variety of opinion. Councilmember Harrington, I see your hand went back up.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, to that point, Mayor, I was just going to say, I continue to think maybe making this permanent is, if I was to choose, that would be the direction I would go. I think the points made by what seems like a majority of the rest of this group, I think I would, be okay putting this on the ballot and sort of following that wisdom. It occurred to me that this has been a tax in Albany County longer than I've been alive, adopted by the voters. So I will take the some other folks' wisdom who have been shepherding this through for so long. But I do think if we don't start using these options the legislature gives us for improving our own lot based on sort of the boxes they put us in over there, I think if we don't start utilizing every option we have, we're unlikely to get more. So I think for that reason, I might be interested in seeing this as a resolution and immortalized in that way. But again, I don't think I'm in the majority here. So I'm going to go ahead and just accept that as my position.
You know what? Does anybody have any objection to a straw poll so we can get down to it? I think we've kind of heard the merits, the points.
Hey, Weaver.
Yes, sir.
Can I interrupt with Commissioner Rivera?
Yeah,
yes, please.
Before we do that straw poll, I just wanted to ask Mayor Leslie, correct me if I'm wrong, but at the beginning of this discussion, you said that for you, and I don't know, or Rock River, and I don't know if you were speaking for the whole council, we have since heard from them, but that it would behoove Rock River to have it as a resolution. Can you expound on that? Why?
Yeah, this is CJ Leslie. I've been the mayor here for 14, 15 years, and this tax helps our residents in our town so much. So I guess what I was stating, that the residents here would vote for it no matter what, because it is the main tax that helps our town. I'm not saying that the town would not go to put it on the ballot, because you brought up a lot of good points for that as well. The people that pay should know where their money goes and should get to decide. So, yeah, I'm kind of back and forth now, but most of our residents would go for it, have for years, was, I guess, my point. Thank you.
Commissioner? Any follow-up, or we?
Oh, no, I just thanked Mayor Leslie for her clarification there.
Let me join you in that thanks, and let me thank you for asking that question. Councilor Doherty, when you put your hand up and then take it down, it gets confusing for me. Commissioner Richardson.
Well, since we all have a hand thingy, you know, how we use that as our straw poll vote.
All right.
Decide which way the hand signal goes, and I'll be ready.
Does anybody object to that? Because I really feel like at some point one flaw in that is that we've got a couple of our Rock River people sharing, I think, a line.
So I only have one council member here with me, so whatever vote you see from my name would be for that council member, which is Lana Clark.
Okay, and do we have all the Rock River Town Council folks in attendance with us?
It appears to be, yes.
All right.
Skip, Scott, CJ.
Is anybody, I'll give you a second. Councilmember Schuster, trying to get to this straw poll, sir. Go ahead.
No, well, kinda. Right now, I'd want to go talk to some people. I'd want to go talk to some influential people in this town that would tell me how they think the town would react. I mean, every time we have this and our committee goes out there and talks about it, they talk about this 5th cent, how many firemen are employed by it, how many police officers, how many road people, all this thing that would talk about how many people wouldn't have their jobs without this 5th cent. So, I mean, I really think, yes, it always gets overwhelmingly approved because we want these services. We absolutely want these services. But do we take their choice away and approve it, or do we?
That's the question.
And right now, I'm on the middle of the fence. So if you hold your
I don't know that we've got time.
Yeah, if you hold your straw poll, I'm not going to vote tonight.
Councilmember Schuster, I just don't know that we've got the luxury of being able to go out and poll our people to then come back. My understanding is there's a need calendar-wise for us to make this decision this evening. If I'm wrong about that, I'd love to know. But my understanding is there is a time situation. Yes, Councilmember O'Doherty.
I remember my question, and what I don't understand is if it were passed by a resolution, could it just be returned in 2 years? So at least when it's on the ballot, we know for 4 years how to budget. But if it's a resolution and you get a different council or commission in 2 months or in a month, whatever, could they just repeal it?
I believe when this question
for 4 years, or put it.
Councilmember O'Doherty, when this question came up before, I believe what we were told is it would have to happen in the same cycle.
I don't understand what that means. You mean the same council and commission would have to undo it?
I think it's good to follow up with that question, but I think what the deputy county attorney told us is that would have to happen in the same cycle, which I think meant that election to the next election.
Mayor Weaver, just a point of clarification, I guess, for folks.
Please.
County Clerk Gonzalez had indicated that resolutions had been passed as late as June, sometimes July, for this in the past. I know that's probably not helpful to that piece of information, but yeah, there have been late resolutions. Now, whether it's a good idea or not, that's a whole different ballgame, right? But just giving you.
No, that's right. So this speaks to the Councilmember Schuster's desire to maybe not make a decision about this tonight. I'm not in favor of that. I think we should make a decision tonight, but now we're getting into two straw poll territories here, so I don't think we'll go there. But I see Commissioner Richardson would like to speak again. I'd like to recognize him.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is sort of a process one. I am interested in a straw poll because we've had comments, but not really, some have been somewhat ambivalent. But my process question is this a decision that gets, I think that the commissioners take a position as a commission, the council takes a position as the council, and the Rock River Town Council does. So any straw poll here is not a decision.
Correct.
But some way or another, so I don't really see how the decision could be made tonight since it's a work session, but probably in our next regular meetings, we would have to, as bodies, take a position on, which way we think we want to go. Is that a fair thing to say? I'm asking a process question that came out like a statement.
You know what, Commissioner Richardson? I think it was both, and I think it had to be both, because another element of this discussion, if anybody disagrees with me, let's get to that part of the discussion. But I think another element of this discussion is we wanted a sense of where the different folks from Laramie City Council, Rock River Council, and the Commission stood on this issue to help us perhaps make our own choices. Some of us have been less firm in our position than others, and that's okay. So I guess I'll ask again, does anybody object to trying to get a sense of where everyone is with the straw poll? Does that seem useful? Is everyone okay? All right. Why don't we just do the simple raise of hands for the resolution adoption, memorialization. If you're in favor of that, put a hand up. I can see on the screen over there from the commissioners, so that's okay. I just saw one hand in the commissioner's chamber. Was that correct?
So you saw two Iberas.
And
yes,
Commissioner Gosar also.
Okay. So that's six. That's six. And it's a good mix. It's two of our county commissioners, the mayor of Rock River, and two of our city council members. If you're not, go ahead and lower your hands now for that part of it. How about if you're in favor of the ballot question? That's a number of city council members, 4 of us, and one county commissioner, and a couple of the Rock River Town Council people. So,
hey, Paul.
Yeah,
Commissioner. Could we prepare the resolution and have it on everybody's plate for April 4th, which is the first meeting Tuesday in the month of April? It gives everybody the chance to do a month's worth of background, and then we can't do anything with the straw poll anyway, other than say that it's fairly close right now. And then,
I agree. It sounds like we're kind of mixed, so maybe we ought to just get that booked, and then people can go out and sort of figure out where they're at, and decide what they want to do with the resolution, since we don't seem to be at a firm consensus. Does that seem fair to everybody? I agree with the commissioner's statement. We'll go ahead and get them ready, and then you can kind of feel your way, and we'll all go from there, since we are a little bit mixed.
Mayor Leslie, would that be all right with you guys in Rock River?
Yes, because you got to keep in mind that the mayor doesn't get to vote in Rock River, so it's up to my council. So that would be the way to go.
All right. Well, Vice Mayor, unfortunately, despite your wise comment at the beginning of this meeting, we have not really come to a choice between the two available choices. And I don't think we're going to. Do you this evening?
No, I don't, but I do like Commissioner Gosar's idea of preparing a resolution for all of us in our first meeting in April, the 3 governing bodies, and kind of let the chips fall as they may, and we'll have some sort of a follow-up consultation and see what comes of it. But I like the idea of attempting to make it official or not, because we need a decision soon. You know? Right.
So. Well, that's okay. That's why thank you, Vice Mayor. That's why it was important to have this discussion. And I heard a lot of good points raised from lots of different folks. I think I'd like to reiterate that I also heard earlier that both of the municipalities will need to agree on this in order for it to go forward.
Yeah, all 3 of us, all 3 of the governing bodies, the town of Rock River, our county commissioners, the county, Albany County, as well as the Laramie City Council. So we'd all have to agree. Otherwise, it's on the ballot. So
well, yep. Thank you. So let's. And I think we'd still have to take an action to get it on the ballot, wouldn't we?
I think we all agree that it has to be on the ballot, right? I don't think that's the question.
I know, but Vice Mayor, don't we have to formally do something to put it on the ballot as the governing bodies as well?
Right, and that would have to be this meeting in April probably, or thereabouts for Jackie to our county clerk to get that all figured out.
So Although she did say it could be done later. I wonder if we should prepare both of those things. Commissioner Gosar, what do you think?
Jennifer, go to County Attorney Curran. Go ahead, Jennifer, please.
I can draft resolutions for both putting it on the ballot and continuing the tax by resolution. And I can work with Bob Southard to make sure we have that language good. And Mayor Leslie, if you have an attorney you want us to work with, or if you would like the city attorney, Bob Southard, and I to work it out and then forward you the language we've agreed to, I'm happy to do that.
Okay, I appreciate that. I will let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to say I really appreciate this discussion and the sort of well-rounded way that it went, with people kind of coming around in different directions. I would like to say I didn't hear anything I didn't really agree with. I agreed with almost all the points that were made. I just felt, you know, at some point there's a need to come to a position and stick with it. I think everybody made really excellent points and have certainly given me some things to think about. I don't have anything else to say about this matter, council members. Does anyone else? I'd like to invite Rock River Council folks to give me a call or drop me an email about any thoughts or further discussion they might want to have. And I think the rest of the folks here know how to get a hold of me and know how to contact me, because I wouldn't mind talking some more to some of you about this and some of your thoughts, getting some more of your thoughts about it. Councilmember O'Doherty.
When does Rock River have their town council meetings?
I don't know. Mayor?
We have our council meetings the first Monday of every month. So our next one will be next Monday. And we will discuss this and make a decision at that meeting.
Thank you.
Mayor Weaver, I just wanted to, that's awesome, but they're gonna make a decision, Mayor Leslie, on next Monday, the coming Monday?
That would be my thought. I mean, again, it's up to the council itself, but I would like them to make a decision on whether they want to go on the ballot or with the resolution.
Okay, I just want to make sure timeline was square in my mind.
Chairman Gosar, Mayor, I wonder if we might just ask based on this discussion, if we'd ask the Rock River Town Council to consider bumping that out to the meeting in April, since that's closer to what you suggested for the drafting of the items, and perhaps we could get some discussion from the Town Council about that now.
So you would like us to make our decision in April instead of next week, correct?
That's my thought, Mayor, just because that lines up closer to when we'd have those resolutions coming forward. Otherwise, I think it puts an unfair amount of pressure on your Rock River Town Council to come to a decision much quicker without perhaps having more of those conversations that we talked about wanting to have, like Councilmember Schuster suggested. Does that make sense?
No, that does. I agree.
And I don't.
Yeah, we can pull it out till our April meeting.
I think that might be a good idea. I wouldn't presume to suggest to you folks how to run your business up there, but I think that would be a good idea and give you guys some more time.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Schuster?
Thank you. I think this is great that we're waiting until next month, because our 5th Tuesday will be before this happens. We might get a lot of comments back on this. So
good.
I'm glad on that.
It's a good point, Councilmember Schuster. Commissioner Gosar, you asked that clarifying question, and it just kind of rang that bell in my mind to perhaps request of the Rock River Town Council to wait a little bit, and I'm really glad it sounds like they're willing to accommodate that. So I guess I'd bounce it back over to you if there's anything else.
No, I'm personally fine, Commissioner Rivera. Anybody here in the room? I think we're fine. Mayor Weaver, thank you.
Okay.
Man,
Yeah. Yeah. Vice Mayor Pierce.
Yeah, thanks. So just to summarize, Rock River will make their decision on the 4th of April. City Council, Laramie will find it on their agenda on the 5th of April. And I'm assuming the county commissioners will be on their meeting on the 5th of April as well. So we will know by the 6th of April what we need to do going forward. And I think that works. So I'm just trying to summarize the dates here. So the 4th and the 5th, the 3 governing bodies will decide. We'll know by the 6th what we need to do.
That's absolutely right, Vice Mayor. And I think the idea is that gives us all plenty of time to have discussions with folks and sort of gauge perhaps some more opinion if we're not quite sure of where we want to come down on resolution versus ballot question.
Perfect.
All right. I really do appreciate this discussion. I think we have made every effort to beat it to death, which is what we should have done. I don't have anything else on our work session agenda. I checked with commissioners in the chamber over there, and I didn't hear that they had anything to add. So I wonder if we might consider closing this part of the work session. Any objections? County commissioners, county officials, thank you very, very much for joining us at a meeting. Rock River Town Council folks, Mayor, thank you very, very much. It's nice to talk to you about some local government stuff.
Mayor Weaver, thank you, and town councilors and staff, thank you so much. Everybody from Rock River, thank you so much, and have a great evening. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. City Clerk, does the City Council have any other work session business it needs to attend to? This is not a regular work session, so I don't think we have any agenda review or anything.
Not tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
All right. The City Clerk, thank you for helping us with this meeting. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Please call me and talk to me about this. You're confuzzled about what I want to do.